You know, I get inquiries sometimes. How do you prepare for your show? What do you do every day? Well, it depends. Sometimes if I go to our fabulous supermarket called Wegmans, they have all the newspapers there, so I might pick up 2 donuts and 5 newspapers. A lot of times I just like to go on the computer and look at the various articles there. But how does Mark prepare every day? Do you actually want to watch me do this? You guys want to watch me do this? This is what I do. And you'll do it with me. So here I have the Washington Compost. It's a very expensive newspaper. It's so expensive I can't even find the price on the damn thing. I pulled them all together. So they're embarrassed. They're hiding their price. All the trees that died for this. Donbass hangs on amid uncertain fate. By Slobodan O'Grady and whatever, yabba dabba do. And here it is. And then I say, okay, that's boring. That's monotonous. Who cares what they think? It's on the news page. It should be opinion page. Peace talks outlook fogs up. Kremlin diverges from upbeat U.S. By Patrick whatever. What is it with all the consonants? When did it happen that everybody's last name has like 14 consonants and 2 vowels? It's impossible to pronounce. I can go, and that would probably cover everybody. But anyway, Peace Talk Outlook fogs up. I'm going, okay, some lib wrote this. Who doesn't understand how peace talks work or negotiations? They fog up, they unfog, they fog, they quasi-fog, they unfog. That's the nature of a discussion. It doesn't happen right out of the box. So I'm thinking, all right, these guys are morons. So I pass on it. DC data on crime faces DOJ inquiry. Administration alleges police warped numbers to make rates appear low. Now that might interest me. And then we have Brazilian judge facing Trump's ire is steadfast. Stupid. Piro won't bring cases on carrying long guns, aka rifles. She says DC's blanket ban is in violation of Supreme Court ruling. So they're very upset about that. Is Salvador Rizzo. 7-year-old U.S. citizen is stuck in China as father stands trial for his art. Basically, nothing on that page is of interest, is it? So I move on to the next. And what do we have here? Defiant Texas Democrat sleeps at State House. So they turn this Democrat left-wing kook woman into a heroine. May I say heroine? Which is a drug, by the way. A heroine. Okay, no interest. Judge appoints permanent U.S. Attorney in Manhattan. I go, whoa, 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 what's that all about? So while Schumer is blocking these presidential appointees, these federal judges are appointing U.S. attorneys. Now, somebody might say, but they can under a statute. Well, that's unconstitutional. The judiciary can't appoint executive branch officials. Hello, they can't and they're not allowed to. So I'd probably look at this one to discuss, as I just did with you, the clear separation of powers. Administration cancels annual survey of federal workers. So, has anybody ever heard of the annual survey of federal workers who's not a federal worker? I don't think so. Do you think they're happy right now that there's a reduction in forces going along? No. But here it is on A4. This is one of the newspapers that covered up the Holocaust. You couldn't get information on the Holocaust on page A4. But here we are. Administration cancels annual survey of federal workers. Good. Top Air Force general asked to retire in latest shakeup at the Pentagon. May I ask you a question? Under prior administrations, when generals were removed or anything like that, was it on A4 of the Washington Compost? No, I don't think so. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey named FBI co-deputy director. I know somebody's not going to like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Good friend, so I don't want to get into that. Now here we have, next page. First of all, these papers are unwieldy. And I'm getting ink all over my fingers. This is what happens. So after 2 or 3 papers, you got to go and wash your hands. And you can see the ink run off. Trump Budget Office lays claim to sweeping spending power records show. Officials assert expanded ability to withhold funds approved by Congress. Oh, do tell. Oklahoma will quiz teachers arriving from New York and California on civics and gender. See, what does this tell you? Let's say you're me, and you have a radio show, TV show, you got the Blaze Digital TV show. You read that, what does that tell you? Oklahoma will quiz teachers arriving from New York and California on civics and gender. Tells you that they're checking to see if they're indoctrinated leftists because they don't want their school systems destroyed like they are in New York and California. But that upsets the Washington Compost. Why? Because they're in Washington, D.C. D.C.'s blanket ban on carrying rifles, I already did that. Once on the outs, Pakistan is finding favor with Trump. At least it's not Cuba, which found favor with Obama. But who cares? Republicans in Congress take harder line on Putin talks. Okay. Europeans hail Trump's promise of secure Ukraine, but questions remain. They just started these discussions. Of course, questions remain. So I'd blow off that. Then we have 2 pages of ads. I'm just showing you what we go through here every day. Then we have White House eyes Putin-Zelensky summit, Russia hedges. We'll do what's right, judge resolute amid U.S. pressures. So that, again, is on the front page. So they come to the defense of a Brazilian judge. Now, keep in mind, the Washington Compost is thrilled when it's running stories attacking Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas, of course, Brett Kavanaugh, that sort of thing. But this judge is steadfast in Brazil. He's not going to buckle. That judge in Brazil is a left-wing kook hack, like many of the writers for this newspaper. Shall we continue? I think we shall, although the Washington Post has bored the hell out of me. Then we have David Ignatius. Who is David Ignatius? He's an opinion writer for the Washington Compost. Very, very respected among all the failed foreign policy experts in and around Washington, D.C. How the bureaucracy sank Reagan's ballistic missile ban. Very large, 3/4 of a page. Boring. I'm not going to even waste my time with it. Then we have, oh, you're going to love this one. Here we have masks off, please. Masks off, please. So I'm thinking, okay, what is that, ice? I don't really care. Then we have a guy, the big problem with the $8 billion broadband fund. Now, if that doesn't attract readers, nobody will. Ukraine peace talks perpetuate the war. Now, this is Max Boot as a reprobate in the school of Bill Kristol. Used to be a neocon. Now he's just a con, if you get my point. Who else is in here? Anyone we care about? Bjorn Lomborg, who's pretty good. A UN court ruling made solving climate change harder. First of all, I don't believe in climate change. No, don't get me wrong. I believe the climate changes. But I don't believe in the ideology of climate change, which means I could never get confirmed for anything. Ask me if I care. Now, does anybody find anything in this newspaper of any interest whatsoever? No. That's why I call it the Washington Compost. Stay with me. Now we have the style section. The future of book reviews looks grim. Do you realize, thanks to you, this book on power is #1 New York Times bestseller, right? I've had 9 in a row. I've had 11 New York Times bestsellers, but 9 in a row. Do you know how many book reviews the New York Times has done of this book? Or any of the 9? 0. 0. Now I'm supposed to read an article that the future of book reviews looks grim? Well, when it comes to my books, they're non-existent. The food section, what is this? I never look at it. Creamy, dreamy, no-churn ice cream. Well, I'm lactose intolerant. So that article is a loser. And I would argue that it's very discriminatory against we lactose intolerant Americans. Creamy, dreamy, no-churn ice cream. Hey, no, you think I'm kidding? It's right there in the middle. That's a draw. What else do they have here? Let's see. Edible gold, a flavorless shorthand for status. Ooh. Stupid. Let's move on to the New York Slime, shall we? The paper record. Remember that? Now, there won't be anything in here about, all through the 30s and 40s about the Holocaust. It's very, can't do that, But let's look at the front page here. Top, Trump rejects sending U.S. troops to Ukraine as part of a peace deal. The only clarity on Putin is ambiguity. See the clever twist of words there? The only clarity is ambiguity. Now, if you're in 3rd grade and you're taking a English test or a language test, you would flunk. Because clarity and ambiguity clarity can't be used to define ambiguity, or vice versa. But they do it, it's a play on words. Suggests air support for Europeans on the ground, okay. It goes on, pulling the criminal card proves politically dicey. Left walks into a trap that the right has found familiar. Now, why is that on the front page? Is that news? For economy, clouds darken, but may pass. Wow. Clouds darken, but may pass. So in other words, it means nothing. So let's move on. Why Putin thinks Russia has the upper hand. They have no idea what Putin thinks. How do they know anything? Well, actually, it's the New York Times. Maybe they do.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.